presence this morning, and joining us via telephone conversation is our reviewer as we look to get started. Be reminded that you're also a part of this conversation. Feel free to join any of our online platforms, either on Facebook, X, or on Instagram, to share your thoughts and comments. We do advise that you exercise civility when you lend your thoughts and opinions to these conversations. Now, to start with, we have our newspaper analyst, Samuel Egboja, who joins us over the phone. Hello, good morning to you, Mr. Samuel. Can you hear us?
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Egboja.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, good to hear from you too. Good morning.
Now, many Nigerians were concerned, particularly I was, when I experienced the power outage yesterday and it lasted for more than 5 to 6 hours. Had to find an alternative to power my devices, only to get the report that there was partial disturbance of the national grid. Many are shying away from using the word collapse, saying it's the second time such a disturbance has happened in the year, with less than 2 months into 2025. Let's get your thoughts and reactions to this.
Well, I'm presently, I'm actually not happy with the situation. But it's high time, it's not too late, to have alternative power, supply in Nigeria. That calls for some reflection, calls for, policy, realignment, and the need for us to focus, our priority areas of, power supply, and also the need to, have an alternative power supply in Nigeria.
We keep talking about this alternative. At the start of the year, we also saw some majors pull out from the national grid. The likes of Dangote, even Lagos is talking about generating 8,500 megawatts of its own electricity. It almost feels as though the load that was initially on the power grid has been reduced. However, these collapses are still recurrent. Last year, the minister told us how much was invested into repairs of the national grid. Does it somewhat worry you that there might be a lack of accountability on how the nation's resources are put into providing power that still falls short of the 6,000 megawatts that Nigerians are hoping for?
Yes, it's not far from what majority of the Nigerians are also thinking. There's a lot of conversations from different angles, so why, how, and this is happening, one too often. It is so. Accountability is also one of the key aspects that we should look at. Not just accountability, we also have to look at responsibility. Because on the part of the leader, people, anchoring this aspect of our national, resources, So accountability, responsibility is also one of the key factors that we should be looking at. The Nigerian factor that you and I know, and most people also know, that one of the key problems we're having is leadership. Until the right people are put into, right places, you don't expect any right thing to happen anywhere.
When you talk of accountability, when you talk of leadership, you also cited the Nigerian factor. The Nigerian factor in what sense? Are we talking about the vandals that the Minister of Power, Chief Adelabu, continues to blame for the incessant power grid collapses, or the lack of monitoring and protection of the power grid and all the devices involved by the major stakeholders in the picture? Who is at fault here, and what are we looking at exactly? Should we be blaming the minister? Should we be blaming the NSCDC that has the responsibility of protecting our national power grid? What is the situation?
That the situation, it is what it is. Talking about responsibility, when you talk about the leadership, it all boils down to the leadership. Because as it is now, I can't give entrance to your house if I don't know the terrain of the environment. Are you with me?
I am with you. I can hear you loud and clear.
There is no way I can get entry into your house. I can't go your house without a proud information about your environment, about how you kept your things, about how your movement within and outside the house. It takes someone that knows much about you.
Now, are you insinuating that this might have been an inside job by certain key elements within the power ministry or the power sector?
Certainly, that's what I'm saying. So from the first from people that are supposed to survive the property, from people directly in charge, they should be held responsible. You know much about it.
Who should be held responsible exactly?
The ministry one supposed to be held responsible. It should be a panel. Panel should be kept to look into that. After cases of this nature were not experiencing this.
Well, we have seen a lot of. We recently saw the federal government making a move towards ensuring that certain universities across the country have access to stable power, and electricity, pledging about 100 billion naira to install mini power grids, solar powered grids, actually across universities in the country, including the UCH, which has had its own fair share of 100 days of blackout. Also talking about the Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria and the University of Nigeria and Nsukka. And with this particular initiative coming in from the federal government, do you think that perhaps at some point Nigerian institutions or major big institutions across the country might not really have the need for the power grid with such epileptic nature it continues to display?
Well, thank you. I love this aspect because I'm directly involved in a way here because I've been in the university environment for over 7 years now.
Okay.
Are you with me, sir?
I am with you. I can hear you, sir.
I also get information for free that everything centers on respect in the university, and that's where.
Yeah.
Centers on respect. And there is no way you can carry out effective research with this kind of power outage. I don't want to mention university's name, but as I speak with you, I just drove into a particular university where I'm doing 1 or 2 part-time talk with, and I'm also giving this information for free that for the fact we are having issues of power supply. And there's no way you can carry out the effective research without power. It's not possible. So I'm going to put it up to the federal government. I want to suggest to them that if they want the right thing to do, I want to commend the ETF, the International Trust Fund. They are doing a lot in terms of infrastructural development in the university, down to state, area universities, and all that. But they could also see how they can handle that aspect of power supply. If the federal government can give them that aspect, I bet you they will do a whole lot of, because go to universities, go to state universities, go to federal universities, go to institutions, federal polytechnic, colleges of education, states, federal. You see that, the landmark is there. So I want to bring up the federal government that they will have a sector that will actually be mandated to, don't like what the ETF is doing, the Educational Trust Fund is doing. That story, the test fund. Are you with me?
I am with you, yes.
Don't like what the test fund is doing. They should have something, an organ, that will be responsible for that. For installing an alternative power supply in our universities and in our federal schools.
Not to deviate too much from the main topic of discussion, which is the power grid, collapse, and also the disturbance that it has had on the effect it has had on businesses across the country. This is the second month of the first quarter of 2025, and already Nigerians have experienced 2 power grid collapses in just 2 months into the year. We have about 10 more months remaining in 2025. Now, it's not looking good at all with all the promises that the minister had made to Nigerians late last year. But going into this year, his ministry, alongside other major stakeholders in the power sector, would ensure that the days of power grid collapses are over or will be over. Now I ask you, should Nigerians really believe that before the year 2025 runs out, we will see an end, or at least a large scale a reduction in these incessant power grid collapses?
Well, I want to strongly believe that the federal government to use the same strength, and I want to put it on straight to the presidency, the same strength they use in initiating the poor subsidy removal from day one. They should also use that the same strength in carrying out certain policies in the power sector to revamp the sector for crying out loud. Because if a proposal and also, an urgent, policies are not connected to repositioning in that sector, I'm afraid it's going to be a very go-round kind of experience.
Now, let's take it beyond the power grid to another issue that has also elicited reactions from Nigerians. The organized labor reacting to a committee that was set up to look into the 50% tariff hike as approved by the NCC was not even allowed to bring back its recommendations before the implementation. Nigerians just discovered that a lot of persons were unable to recharge their lines using their bank phones or USSDs owing to this increment. Now, the NLC is asking Nigerians to boycott services by telecoms for 3 hours daily up until March 1st. Do you think that this would serve as a strategic plan towards forcing a reversal of this hike, or how much can it give Nigerians in terms of respite towards this 50% tariff hike as imposed by the telecom operators in the country?
Well, the fact is that we have the National Assembly, they have the core responsibility of doing this for the entire Nigeria. Are you with me?
Carry on.
The concerned labor body cannot, and no Nigerian will respect their resolution. And I want to put it up, no Nigerian will respect their resolution because it has based on experience. We've had experience from the past. The few individuals talking about those labor body, they will go behind, collect money, and shut their mouth up.
As alleged, or can you prove that they do that?
Pardon?
Can you prove that that is indeed what they do, or is an allegation?
It can be you and I know that this is what happened.
I don't know about that, but if you're alleging, then you must prove that the allegations are something to go by.
Yeah, sure. There are issues. There are instances. I'm not regarding instances. But before I go on that, and I want to make my submission, where I may not be able to go for that, but I'll make my submission that on that aspect, we should leave that to the hands of the National Assembly. Let them handle that and see what comes out of it.
But have you had any? Mr. Samuel, have you had any difficulties accessing either airtime or data on the line you use in the past few days?
Yes.
Tell us your experience.
My two major lines are MTN and Airtel, and I've been having issues with that, and it's not funny at all. Now let me give you one instance. You can't tell a businessman in about to abandon his line for 3 hours. You can't tell a businessman in Onitsha, you can't tell a businessman in Lagos to abandon his line for 3 hours just to dance to the tune of few individuals that at the end of the day, you can't even trust them.
Well, they are not forcing these workers or businessmen to abandon their phone lines for 3 hours. I don't think that's what the labor is asking. The labor is urging Nigerians to boycott these telecom operators for 3 hours per day. Now, I believe this is in a bid to sort of have a pushback on their businesses as well, so that they will feel the brunt of what they're doing to Nigerians on their businesses too.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, Beat, I don't think
They didn't compel Nigerians.
they didn't compel Nigerians.
They're only
to do
saying
that.
this is in reaction to the 50% tariff, especially since a committee was set up to look into it and give recommendations. But whilst the committee is still doing its work, the telecom operators and the NCC have gone ahead to increase the tariff. So at best, what can be the response of the common man while waiting for the National Assembly, Mr. Samuel?
Well, I think that the state of a common man regards this. I think for me, because I will talk from my own perspective, for now, I don't have alternative line. I have got 2 lines. But I just have to manage the situation of the thing and hope that things get better. So there's nothing virtually, there's nothing, what we can do about it at this moment.
But Mr. Samuel, how would you react to the fact that the telcos had earlier asked for a 100% increase in the tariffs? The NCC as well as other stakeholders pegged it at 50%, thereabout. The NLC said that it shouldn't be above 10%. And then MTN went ahead to shoot it up by 200%. Is this fair to Nigerians?
At all. This is not fair to Nigerians.
And do you also think that what the NLC is asking Nigerians to do is not fair to MTN and the other telcos?
Well, it still boils down to the leadership, confusion. But there's a lot of confusion within the leadership circle until we get the right people to, initiate this policy and also to stand on behalf of the market. We're gonna, we'll keep having these issues and keep having this issue. Not like the words of Reverend Father, Coca. He said that all reserve and unfounded crime are carried in relation to further crimes. So issues of this nature, when you don't resolve them, they are tacit invitation to further confusion. That is what we're saying. So at this, at every level of where we are, because don't be held responsible.
Now, in moving forward, we're also considering the position of these telecom operators. They're saying in the last 12 years, there's not been any tariff hike, and owing to the cost of doing business, the exchange rates and whatnot, they need to increase their rates to be able to stay in business. Now, whilst 50% by many yards is quite a high raise, is there any amount of increments that you would think should be more or less appreciable to their cost of doing business and also affordable to subscribers and those who patronize their services?
Okay, before we talk about increments in percentage, what is the current percentage? What is the current percentage? Let's look at the current percentage. Before you talk about the increment, can we look at the current percentage?
Sure, yes, why not?
So what is the current percentage?
Now, when you talk about SMSs, cost of SMSs are currently at 4 naira per SMS. That's for SMSs. For calls, they're about 11.56 naira, 12 naira.
Good. Now, an average Nigeria, we don't even make use of some of the free platforms that are a bit reduced, like email. We don't make use of email. We don't make use of barter. We don't even make use of SMS. Most Nigerians, we go on direct calls. You and I know. So the increment is people, even in the educational sector or stakeholder, even the university or independent, you and I know that most people they don't use SMS to communicate. And it's one of the most reduced aspect of we try going on direct calls.
But how much information can you pass across via an SMS text as opposed to a direct phone call that allows you have better conversation, just like the one we are having right now.
Yes, that is the aspect I'm talking about. So most Nigerians they prefer, going on direct calls
Because it is more efficient.
So it's more efficient to them.
Okay.
And it's faster to them. So now, if you're going to hire, if you want to increase your rate, you should also look at the fact that this is the aspect where Nigerians have comparative advantage. This is where you, as an organization, you have comparative advantage. Leverage on it, let it be 50-50. So not just to announce it and say you're going to increase it and it has to be like 100. No. You shouldn't do that.
And what do you think of the proposed planned strike action by the NLC come March 1st over this tariff hike? I believe this is in the general benefit and good of Nigerians. But how much of an impact do you think this would have on the general situation at hand? Would it have any sort of effect in terms of a reversal or at least a reduction in the tariff hike that has already happened and is biting hard on the backs of Nigerians?
Yeah, you think it's biting hard in part of Nigeria, but I also give you this information for free that the senator there, the House Representative member, they don't know, they don't feel this impact. They don't feel it. So I wanted actually to say that we should push this back to them. But at the same time, they don't feel it. It's the owner feels the impact of it. So the agitation at the level by the body, that is a welcome development. And I also think that they should be able to sustain that momentum. They should be able to be backing down. I think the right thing is done. So if we see some levels of resilience, some levels of positive move on their part, why not? The whole Nigerians will support them. When they put it up like it's a business as usual, sorry, I don't know. I just believe strongly that.
Now, let's move on to another issue in the news. Much like you said, a lot of Nigerians always allude that our lawmakers might be detached in terms of their take-homes and the effects of the purchasing power as compared to other Nigerians. But yesterday, on the floor of the Green Chambers, the tax reform bills passed second reading. However, some lawmakers pushed back on inheritance tax and were calling for a reduction in VAT. Now, the tax reform bills has 4 components, and out of the 4, these 2, along with some other contentious sections of the bills, are being called for a reversal by our lawmakers. How would you assess this development?
Well, you see, the lawmakers, they are representative of the entire country. You have representative in the National Assembly, right? You're from a constituency, right?
That's correct.
When you go back to the House, you look back to your federal constituency, place the call to your federal constituency, assess what they have done for the masses and assess what they have done for themselves. But also, people, the key numbers of people we have, the majority, and people, not for the masses. So more of the law, addition of that. And ask them what the people want. They should be able to, to stick the people into before they come up with, agreeing or disagreeing with the certain policy and put in place. But it's not happening. It's not happening. The situation, the life in Abuja is not with what other people have seen in the rural area. You should be able to people information about what is happening, the reality from the people, not just from your friend in Abuja, not just for you to copy people and say, okay, let's get to your opinion about this and all that. No, not on the interiors, with their opinion. Before we can be able to accept if this policy is right or if the policy is wrong.
Now, the other angle to this conversation as well is the equity in sharing among states. Some states have also groaned over the fact that they need equal VAT sharing formulas as against what they generate in terms of VAT on certain commodities that they've banned. These are some of the other contentious aspects of the bills that going into the coming weeks, a lot of Nigerians will be looking at how the legislative arm of government will treat this issue. What do you propose in that regard?
There will never be an equal sharing formula. Making the point.
Yeah.
There will never be, and there will never be, and there will never be an equal sharing formula.
Why so?
And why do you think so?
Okay, good. The kind of companies you have in Abuja is not the same companies you have in Lagos. The kind of companies you have in Lagos is not the same with the company you have in National Active and Benue State. The generating power you have differs. There are variations. So that is why we cannot have an equal loss. Of course, any emanate as a result of tariff hike and all that.
Well, Mr. Egboja, that is why we are asking, what do you propose from your perspective as an analyst? What do you propose in this regard for a common ground? I know, yes, the bill has passed second reading. There are still certain sentiments surrounding it, and some certain individuals are not comfortable with the VAT sharing formula and all of that. What do you think going forward could be done to have everybody feeling included in the tax reform bills?
Well, I think my projection is that we should look at generating powers and skills from the different states we have. Then we should be able to fashion out an agreeable sharing formula to each of the states based on the number of industries, based on the category. We should categorize them. Are you with me? We should categorize them into ABC and see how we can generate that aspect and also be able to share a certain percentage to each of the grades by way of categorization. I think to me, that should be the best way to go about this. Not to generalize the entire process.
Well, we must thank you, Mr. Samuel, for taking our time to join the conversation. We appreciate your insights into issues in your perspective.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day.
Have a great day too. Thank you.
Now we'll revisit the front page of our next newspaper, The Guardian, and it's over the newly introduced 4% import duty levy. Now, importers are reportedly looking for alternative routes in which they would ferry their containers ahead of this increase. The Guardian took out time to explicitly list out the incurred cost and what